The Occult Anatomy of Man, Part 4. The infernal worlds. At the base of the spine is located the throne of the Lord of Form, commonly called Jehovah and Shiva. The linga is his symbol. He rides the great ball of haughtiness. His daughter is death and destruction. Yet, he is nothing of evil. He builds the body which gave us the power to function in the lower world. He crystallized them around line of force. Geometry is the skeleton, and all the body which he built are geometric problem, geometric angle, crystallized into rocks and stones. Gradually, the crystallization which bring body into the world caused them to become too dense and unyielding to respond to the subtle impression from the spiritual consciousness. Slowly, they turn to stone, and death is the result of the same cause that brought body into the world. The early race of the earth worshipped the procreative attribute of life. They felt that the highest expression of life was the power of giving still another life to the world. Therefore, the principle of life-giving was personified into a deity who gave life to all things, or rather, brought into manifestation the latent life which cannot grow or unfold in the physical world without the vehicle of dense substance. To the occultist, birth is death, and death is an awakening. The mystic of ancient day taught that to be born into the physical world was to enter a tomb, for no other plane of nature is so unresponsive, so limited as the earth world. Time and distance were prison bars chaining the soul to narrow environment. Heat and cold tormented the soul. Age deprived it of its faculty, and man's life was but a preparation for death. As life is lived under the shadow of death, they thought that it's a mockery, a hollow thing, gilded to the careless eyes, but tarnished and worm-eaten upon close examination. The physical body became the sepulchre, tired tomb, the place of burial, in which spirit lay awaiting the day of liberation, when as a virgin spark it should arise again from the broken urn of clay. Therefore, in all the religions of the world, we have the lower world as a black pit into which Yama, the lord of the underworld, hurled the soul of the damned to suffer in hell of their own creation. For it is the truth that each race make from its own nature the demon which tormented it. Here Typhon, the Egyptian god of destruction, with the body of a hog and the head of a crocodile, await with honing jaw to devour those who have failed to make proper use of life opportunities. Among most people, the demon is symbolized as part animal, part human. It dwells in the animal nature of man and those who are controlled by their appetite. Their like and dislike, their hate and fear need no further damnation. They have built their own hell and are experiencing it, torment. The generative system is gradually being absorbed into the brain, and the man of the next great world period will generate his progenies, or at least from vehicle from them to the larynx, which is the organ of the spoken word. We are taught that a small etheric body, which will later be the organ of positive reproduction, is gradually being built near the larynx. Ultimately, human beings will become capable of raising the spinal fire to the Sushumna canal. This is an evolutionary process, however, covering a long period of time. The physical body is supposed to be under the control of the moon, which ruled the liquid of the earth. The moon was the last incarnation of the earth spirit, and the human race passed through its state of animal consciousness in the etheric body of the moon lord. The lunar spirit are called the ancestor and are now to Christians as angels. These beings have control of the generative power of animal and man. The life coming into incarnation often shows its future vehicle many years before it appears in the world. It is said that the etheric germ is placed in the body of the parent as long as 20 years before the child comes into the world. This is the result of its search for an environment especially suited to its spiritual and material needs. Certain occult schools have taught that the spiritual consciousness of man was not fixed in any point of the body, but was in whatever part of man his thought dwelt. We know that there are three worlds where man may dwell. The first is his mental world, where he may live surrounded by his thought, his dream, and his aspiration. The second is his human world, where he may be one of the great middle class, which think a little, eat a little, sleep a little, and worry unceasingly. The third possible home is his animal world, where he may dwell in the midst of passion, lust, and hate, which burn his soul and consume his body. The history of primitive race shows that they have risen to all of this stage until at least a few have become truly thinking creatures. The blood of every man is individual. When crystallizing, it forms into geometric patterns which differ with every person, so that by means of blood analysis, a far superior system could be evolved for crime detection than either the Bertillon or fingerprint system. The story of man's soul is written in his blood. The position he occupies in evolution, his hope, and his fear are all imprinted on the enteric form which flows through his bloodstream. Until red blood came into the body, the spirit of man could not enter. But over the body, attached to it by an electric thread. By studying cricket, grasshopper, and similar small creatures clairvoyantly, it is possible to observe impulse from the little globe hovering over their body, which result in the primitive motion and sense which they demonstrate. Therefore, it is said that the actual line between the vegetable and the animal is drawn with the coming of the red blood. Consequently, certain small fishes, mollusks, etc. are technically vegetables, although not recognized as such by science. The liver is the key to the red blood. Lucifer's red garment derives their color from the blood, while the word Lucifer means a carrier of light or heat, and is a name for the blood. For this reason, it is a spirit of temptation. In the Christian mystery, the piercing of the liver of Christ by the spear of the centurion is especially mystical, while Prometheus, the friend of man, hanging upon the peak of the Mount Caucasus with a vulture gnawing at his liver. It is the same myth expressed in the symbolism of the ancient Greece. It is further interesting to note the relation between the word live and liver, for to have a liver is to live. Along the same line, we may note that the word live, spelled backward, become evil, and the word live become devil. This peculiar relationship is found not only in English, but to a slightly less noticeable degree in several languages. When we take up this, however, we become involved in the study of Kabbalism, which is the analysis of the symbolic meaning of the word. Red is the color of blood and the key of the liver, and its effect upon animal is very noticeable. It irritates, excites, and in some cases actually causes animal to go mad. Therefore, it is often used in making the cape worn during bullfight. This the fighter float in the bull face, and trouble usually follow. The use of red light is not uncommon in black magic. Evil magicians use them to materialize specters, while medical science has already discovered that the red light is a strong irritant when applied to the human body. During anger and hate, the astral aura of man becomes streaked with the red flame, very closely resembling thunderbolt. Very often, the base of the spine glows with a murky red light, symbolic of hate, passion, or anger. This red glow, burning eternally at the base of the spine, has given the rise to the story of hellfire and damnation. But the preacher has failed to remind the laity that they carry their own hell around with them wherever they go. The red power is said to be broken from the white light of the sun to the body of Samael, the spirit of Mars. This is the cause of the red glow in the heaven. Mars is the god of war, wrangling, hate, and dissension. He was the patron deity of the Roman Empire, whose uninformed soldiers were red as a symbol of his sway. Following the lead of this patron saint, they conquered the world and then fell upon the sword which they had murdered order. While red is the color of the body, yellow is regarded as the color of the soul. For this reason, the Buddha and World Savior are usually symbolized as being surrounded with a golden nimbus or halo. This light is the yellow robe, also the light bearing witness to the darkness of which St. John wrote. This light, flooding through the third ventricle, represents the Shekinah of the Jew, which hover over the mercy seat as a pact between God and man. Yellow is a vitalizer, a life giver. Therefore, the golden-haired Son and his personification, the Christ, are both giver of life. Devitalization may be successfully treated by exposing the spleen to sunlight. Blue, the highest of the three primary colors, is the color given to the Father. It is relaxing, restful color, especially valuable in the treatment of insanity and obsession. It is difficult for black magicians to function successfully in a blue light. Its affinity to the mind is very evident and is gathered as an electric sea in the pineal gland and as an extract from all the spiritual quality of human nature. The blue heart to every flame was said to symbolize the invisible Father behind the glowing sun. In the word of Christ, he that had seen me had seen the Father. I am the Father, and the Father in me. The use of color in symbolism is very interesting. The green dragon, whom the hero of mythology usually slay, represents the earth. The white armor is a purified physical body. The black magician is darkness and uncertainty. All colors have symbolic value, and great lessons can be learned from the study of the application of this value to occultism. While discussing the subject of occult anatomy and physiology, we must stop for a moment to give credit to the alchemists and Rosicrucians, who during the Middle Ages concealed the study of occult anatomy by dressing up the organ of the human body in the form of rhetoric and alchemical vessels. One of their great exponents say in substance, Our chemistry is not with chemical as you know them, but with a certain secret vessels, internal organ, and spiritual chemical which are invisible to the ordinary individual. We do not believe in tottering chemical, combining them to form gases, vapor, and sitting masses. For chemical like man can suffer when brought into unkind relationship with each other. The alchemical furnace was the human body. The fire that burned it was at the base of the spine. The chimney was the spinal cord up, with the vapor pass to be gathered again and distilled in the brain. This was indeed a sacred system brought to Europe from Far East, where for centuries it has been considered the highest form of religion. We may call this occult truth the principle of operative spirituality, in contradiction to modern religion, which is made entirely of speculative theory. People do not dream that religion is physiological, nor will they believe that their salvation depends entirely on scientific uses of the life element and force within their own body. But in spite of all they may be said to the contrary, such is the case. During the next few years, much will be done to enlighten man concerning the secret working of his own part and member. It is very interesting to note the similitude existing between the incarnation or appearance in the world of the great avatar, Vishnu, and the change which takes place in the human embryo previous to birth. This brings us to our next subject, occult embryology.